push-ups. I've been doing sit-ups. I've been doing chin-ups. I've been doing pull-ups. I threw up once, but I'm okay now.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to a Friday edition of the YSN Power Hour, powered by our friends at Toyota of Warren. DJ on this side, then you got Richie on the other side over there. Richard, how was your evening?
Pretty good. Big one tonight for us. I know that. A lot of games on the network. I'll be at Western Reserve for Waterloo. Waterloo is a team that's, kind of flying under the radar this year when I was doing my research this afternoon. Only 3 losses on the campaign. They got one of the best scorers around the area. And Western Reserve was one of the teams that beat them, handed them one of their 3 losses earlier in the season on the first 2 weeks. So it should be a good matchup tonight in Western Reserve.
Little Viking Nation. Bring them on out. Western Reserve, come on out. You're going to need it. Meet the one, the only Richie Giuliano. Make sure you bring your microphone so he can autograph it. And it's worth a lot of money on eBay. Good night for here, for yours truly as well. Got to go out and where the hell was I last night? Was I at Salem?
Probably East Palestine.
I was in East Palestine. You're right. Dude, my days are, I am still, if you ask me where I am, I part of me still thinks I'm in Tampa Bay. Like my head is still there.
That's how I felt when I came back from vacation. I was like,
isn't it incredible?
Like I'm in Florida.
Yeah. Like your head doesn't catch up because it's weird, and we'll get into this probably a little bit later. Like, I don't sleep well when I'm on vacation or on the road, and I really don't sleep well when I come back. Like, awful.
I'm the same way. But you know what's different about me? I sleep better on vacation than when I do them at home. Like,
dude, you are a absolute hero on vacation. You, on the road, I couldn't wake you up with a machine gun blast.
No.
It's crazy. It's incredible. Like
I'm almost like more comfortable in hotel beds than my own bed, which is very weird to say.
That is a little weird because the bed's got to be just right for me. It's got to be just right. I'm almost like a sleep number guy, and I've never had a sleep number in my life. But as a former mattress connoisseur, I would think that I would be better on a sleep number because like some nights you'd be better off with like a firmer mattress, and some nights you're better off just like kind of in a beanbag. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not back yet. I saw the Palestine game last night against Valley Christian. A lot of defense, a lot of rebounds. Read into that as you may. But Palestine found their stride in the second half and just started crushing the backboard. And getting it done, 47-something victory. It was pretty handily victorious for the East Palestine Lady Bulldogs, who, by the way, don't look now, are making a run, my friend. I'm going to the standings page on ysnlive.com/standings, and what I find is East Palestine quietly creeping up to a 9-6 record overall and 5-4 in the conference. That might not sound like a whole lot, Richie, but at the end of the day, we know that you can make some noise in the tournament if you're hitting your stride.
Yeah, I mean, this is the best time to start hitting your stride because February, second week is usually when you start wrapping up the regular season. So, for East Palestine, if they could pick up a couple of big EOAC victories in the last weeks of January, early February, I know they have a couple towards the bottom of that list right now where they could kind of build some momentum, but you're right. You're a little bit out of contention right now as you're, I think, 4.5 back of United, who's 9-0. So you're not going to win the conference, but if you want to ruffle some feathers in the conference, they could definitely do so in the end of January.
Wreck some seasons, as they say this time of year. You have not been subject to our newest. I know yesterday you did the On This Day in Sports History, but my friend, we have turned over a new leaf here in 2023, and it is the birthdays. We are celebrating birthdays here in 2023, and it's just celebrities and people of YSN. So here we go. Are you ready?
Yep.
Let's hit that birthday music. January 20th birthdays. Are you ready for this? Because they are not a good day for birthdays. I'm not going to lie to you. So I'm looking down the whole roster right now, and I have Skeet Ulrich, which I bet dollars to donuts you have no idea who the hell that is.
I have no idea.
He is an actor. He was on one of the greatest shows of all time called Jericho on the CBS network. If you ever have a chance to watch Jericho, maybe it's on Paramount Plus. I don't know. Go watch it. It's worth getting into. Again, one of the greatest shows under the radar of all time. Also, by the way, Skeet turns 52. Turning 56 today, Rainn Wilson. Do you know who that is?
Rainn Wilson. Sounds like a cowboy.
Close. He's Dwight from The Office.
How's that close?
It's really not, but I was trying to give you credit where it wasn't. Tyler Hero, is it Hero or Hero from Kentucky?
Tyler Hero.
Tyler Hero. So he turns 22 today. Buzz Aldrin turns 92 years old today. The astronaut. What else do we have here? Paul Stanley, the guitarist, turns 70 today. And Nick Foles turns 33. So there's a little bit of sports sprinkled in for your January 20th. So happy birthday to all of them. And if it's your birthday too, happy birthday to you. And if you'd like to get on our birthday countdown and our birthday celebration each and every day on the Power Hour, brought to you by Toyota of Warren, send us a message. That's as easy as that. Like, we'll get you on. We'll get you on the calendar. Get you popped up. We'll celebrate. Send a picture so that way we can put a picture up. That way we're not just talking about birthdays like a couple of idiots. But I just like people celebrating their birthday, man.
That'll be cool. Like when your birthday comes around to have it up there.
Heck yeah. Like imagine if you're a freshman. Like we don't care. We'll put you up as long as you're a YSN school. Yeah, we'll put you up. Tell us what sport you play and we'll put you up. We have to do a little research because there's some a-holes out there. Let's just put it like it is.
And with different people's birthdays.
Yeah, we don't need IP freely, that from Gerard or something. Like we got to do some research and make sure this person is legit because nobody's going to Bart Simpson us. That's just not going to happen. Richie, again, a great night on the network last night, a ton of games. And I think we had different forms as well. Before we get things started, I did want to address there was a farewell show for the 440 and Gold Boys last night. Got a chance to take that in. If you haven't had a chance to see 440 and Goal in action, certainly one of the premier in all of our state, certainly premier productions in the area. Ryan and Sam have done a phenomenal job. They had their farewell show, and there's a lot of people that were looking at us like, okay, what did YSN do? We've already had the conversation. I could put it out there. These guys, we took them to Tampa Bay. We were on our way to Vegas. They went to Chicago with us, Richie. Great guys. Ryan has decided to step away because it's family, and I understand that it's family first. I want to thank him for everything that he has done for 440 and Goal, as well as his time here at YSN, because that guy has put more time into it than many people realize. And a great man, a guy that is going to make a huge difference in the community in Ashtabula County. And I think he's going to be a great football coach, either a head football coach or on somebody's staff, because that guy cares so much about kids. And I know how hard it was for him to walk away from something that he put his heart and soul into for about 3 years. So thank you, Ryan Cole, for everything you did. For those wondering, Sam Torres will still be on with us. He rebranded to make it a 440 Sports Show. So we're excited to keep Sammy with us. A great guy, great commentator, and the future is bright for Mr. Torres as well. I know you had the chance to spend some time with Sam and Ryan in Chicago. Yeah. It was a good time. Good guys.
It was. And you know what? I watched that show. It was a tough show for both of them. You could tell when Sam was the one making the announcement, he was kind of choking up a little bit, trying his hardest to get through it. It kind of shows you like the connection that those two guys had. Like without those two guys, like our Chicago trip wouldn't have been the same way it was.
No.
Like our production just wouldn't have been the same. Like to me, I thought we knocked it out of the park production wise. And a lot of eyes were raised when we pulled up and we placed those 2 monitors on there and the computers and everything we had going on for us. And I think that's a big reason why we have taken that extra step. And we are in Tampa, we're going to Las Vegas, is because of those 2 guys and what they brought to the table for us on just getting to know them personally, like, off of the mic and, outside of the work environment was a lot of fun. Going to, what was it, Giordano's. The one night we couldn't make it 2 Portillo's because we were too stuffed, but that was a fun trip and something we'll never forget as a company because for us that could be one of the groundbreaking accomplishments for us at YSN.
Yeah, and with us heading to Vegas and fresh off the heels of Tampa, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. We're gonna miss Ryan just incredibly, but as they say, the show must go on. You know what I mean? It's a business and we've got to, other people have to step up into different roles, maybe that they're not comfortable with and GSD. So excited for it. Thanks again to Ryan Cole for everything that he's done for YSN and for 440 and Goal, man, because those guys have done yeoman's work up there in Ashtabula County, and everybody up there knows exactly who Sam and Ryan are. I don't want to say it's goodbye forever because like they were alluding to on their show, there might be some opportunities where Ryan kind of comes back and does some cameos. So hopefully that's the case. As far as tonight goes, man, we have 18 games on the network tonight, Richie. So we are flush with games tonight on the network. Anywhere you look, like it's full house. I mean, it is. You've got. I mean, let's run down them real quick. If I have them up here. So we got Fitch and Ursuline. Oh, that's just a little game. Just a little game.
That's how you start it.
Canfield and Cheney. Oh, that's just a little game. Crestview and Liberty. Another just a little game. You got some dogfights tonight here, Richard.
Yeah. Ursuline. We'll start at the top here. Ursuline, to me, I've seen them a couple times. I've had the pleasure to announce with Steve and do some games by myself for Ursuline. But, this to me is one of the best teams that we have covered this season. Now, they had one slip up on the road at Canfield, 58-50 in the first 2 weeks of the season. But, since then, they keep rattling off impressive win after impressive win. I think their biggest of the season, beating Cheney by 15 points, 80-65 a couple of weeks ago. So, Ursuline, of course, has some of the most talented guys when you look at Terrence Pankey, of course, Vinny Flotto, who's one of the best shooters to come through Ursuline High School. And overall, this is a team that kind of needed that loss in the early part of the season to humble them and strive for greatness, because I know the next day after they lost to Canfield, they were in the gym for hours when the girls basketball team played that night. So, that was kind of cool to see, and that was the turning point of their season. And Austintown Fitch is going to have to bring their A game if they want any part of holding the Irish down.
But as well as I do, anytime that Fitch and Ursuline get it on, you can throw records out the window because it is all about that rivalry, all about the bragging rights. I'm really interested to see how this one goes.
Yeah, Sam.
What was that?
Oh, the Max Preps.
Oh, your Max Preps. Like, okay, thanks, Max Preps. I know you got to pay the bills too. But you look at these games. I mean, we talked about the Ursuline boys. Obviously, we understand Coach Beanie and the Falcons going to have to line up, right? Going to have to go toe the line and show up. I think they do. I don't know if they have enough firepower for what Ursuline's going to bring to the table tonight, though.
Yeah, no, it'll definitely be tough because they have so many guys. Like Jane Payne down low is so hard to stop. And then you focus your attention on Payne. Then they kick it out, and they've got 3 good shooters that you could go to on the perimeter. Terrence Pankey, one of the best guys with his hands, getting to the basket and scoring in tough situations. And then you got guys like Nick Bako who come off and they just play tough basketball. Not a guy that's going to light it up, definitely in the box score, but a guy that's going to give you 100%, and he gets a lot of rebounds and he plays tough. So when you look at Ursuline, 5 guys on the floor, you got to stop at all times, which, makes life difficult for Austintown Fitch tonight. But, they've had some young players that have put up some crazy numbers this year. It'll be a tough environment for them, but, I think Austintown Fitch, both girls and boys, any game this year, they have a chance to win.
Let me take a gander at this because we're talking about the boys right now, obviously, being that it's Friday. Look at this, all right? So you got Ursuline there sitting at the top of the rankings. We got Canfield tonight, and Canfield taking on Cheney. So you've got the 4 versus the 12. You've got the 1 versus the 5 tonight.
Yeah.
I mean, you have this could shake up the rankings for Monday. It really could.
Definitely. I mean, you look at, Canfield and Cheney. That's another intriguing matchup. I know Jamie Thompson's really excited to do that one tonight. When you look at Cheney, they're on a roll. They won 4 in a row after that tough loss that I mentioned to Ursuline. They kind of went on a tough stretch there late December, losing to St. V, CVCA, and Ursuline. But those are 3 quality opponents. They've stepped up their game. And when you look at every single loss that Cheney has this season, they're all against some of the best teams in Northeastern Ohio. Walsh Jesuit, who we might see on Tuesday when they play Hoban, they have one of the best schedules in the state of Ohio. So when you look at Cheney, yes, they are 8-5, probably not the win-loss record that they want, but still, with the guys they have, the athletes we saw, a lot of Division I commits on the football side, any given night, this Cheney team could be dangerous if all 5 are playing.
So I just realized that Tuesday, I'll have a triple header. Badger has a boys-girls doubleheader in the morning.
Really?
Yep. So I'm going out there for that, and then we're going up to Akron later that night.
Do they have school off Tuesday?
Nope. They do. They did this before COVID. They're bringing it back where they pack the gym with all kids, all students, like in elementary, middle school, all that. I think that is with Badger. I think that is one of the coolest things. Sorry, didn't mean to flip that. I think that's one of the coolest things you could do. Like I really do, because it gets people excited about your programs. And Badger, you can pack that gym like every night. So I think there's people that are probably going to. I would imagine there are people that would be frustrated that they can't get a ticket.
Yeah.
But the more important thing is to keep the Braves programs going and playing in front of a packed, sold out crowd, no matter how old they are. It is still a cool experience. And I'm sure they're going to do it up with, the high five tunnels and stuff like that. So I'm excited for that. Matt Morrison will be with me on that call. And then you and I, my friend, we go out and we christen the boat right off the port bow. We go to Hoban for what I think is going to be an unbelievable. They told us straight up. They said, listen, you need to be at this game.
Yeah.
Whatever it takes, we'll be there with bells on. And we're going to give them a show that they won't soon forget. Hopefully they return the favor.
Like I said, Walsh Jesuit, one of the best teams. They have taken down some of the best teams in St. Vincent, St. Mary, who has been around the country playing high school basketball to start the season. So Hoban's one of the best actually in Northeast Ohio, maybe even in the state this year. They got a couple guys that are getting D1 offers. So I'm really excited to see the Hoban team get to go up there. They're good in every sport. Let's be honest. They're good in pretty much everything. So they always have guys going to play big time basketball, baseball, and football. So I'm excited to see what that atmosphere is going to be like, kind of going out, venturing into a new territory and seeing how they do things in Akron.
I got to believe it's a different brand of basketball, my friend. I've been hearing about it. I've seen tape on it, and it's a little bit different than our kind of ball around here.
I think we're going to see a couple high flyers. Let's say that.
Just a guess. Just a guess that we might see a dunk or two.
Yeah.
Just a guess. Other games on the network tonight: Edison at Beaver Local, Geneva at Orange. Make sure you catch up on that one. Again, Orange had a player last week put 35 up, I think.
Wow.
I mean, anytime you get over that like 25-point barrier, It's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
It's pretty impressive. Also, Grand River Academy will be taking on Louisville tonight at the Leopard Dome. We'll have Howland at Cardinal Mooney, Indian Creek at East Liverpool, Jackson Milton at Lowellville, Jefferson at Poland, also Lakeview at Hubbard, Lordstown at Badger. Matt Morrison, I believe, will have that call for us. Marlington at West Branch, boys basketball as well. Niles at South Range, Sebring at Springfield, Southern at Wellsville, Valley Christian at East Palestine, and we have Waterloo at Western Reserve. All of those boys, except for there is a girls in there somewhere, isn't there?
Yeah, at the very bottom. Lisbon at Columbiana.
There it is.
Which we were talking about is very unusual on a Friday night. Like,
it's not on our live page though. It's weird.
I don't know. Maybe they
did they cancel it?
Maybe.
I don't know.
Usually it's Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, girls, Tuesday, Friday, boys, occasionally a Saturday, boys. But I saw that on the schedule. I'm like, that's a little bit different.
Papa Yoke might just get a game tonight after all. if we don't have the horses to cover it, I'm sitting there taking a family night, but I might have to pack up the old bag and head over. I'm assuming it would be in Columbiana. Is it not?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Okay. Head over to the hangar and get it on. So out of these, I mean, what's must-watch streaming and broadcasting for Richie tonight?
Yeah, I mean, for me, Fitch, Ursuline, Canfield, Cheney are my two big games of the night. Some of our best teams that we cover, some of our top ones on the power rankings as well. But another one that I was looking at earlier and I saw on the schedule that I was kind of intrigued was Howland at Cardinal Mooney. Now, those are two teams that are, pretty evenly matched because they don't have the best record per se, but they've got quality wins on their schedule, and anybody could win that game tonight. Like, if you're going to put a spread on that game, it's like almost even.
Yeah, you're looking like maybe a half hook for the home team, maybe. It's hard to, and we're not professionals when it comes to that, and we don't bet on high school sports. But when in Rome, it's one of those things where you put a spread on it. I was pretty close last night, Rich. I got to tell you, 2 nights ago with the Salem-Carrollton game, I put it at a 14-point spread, and I think it was 14 points dead on. So I got to start using the hook somehow. So, but yeah, I think this one's a dead even. Yeah. I really do. And Mooney is a team that I think will come on late again and will make a nice run because they saw kind of when they have to turn it on. But you don't want to get too far down the chute and realize, hey, we better turn it on or else it's not going to go. And then, the propellers don't spin. So I'll be interested to see how this one goes.
Well, what's really tough for Cardinal Mooney is you kind of want to build some momentum now because you have winnable games in the next 3 against Howland, Salem, Harding. But then when you look at the end of their schedule, Youngstown East, who they've played, they lost to. Sharon, PA is always good. Cheney, Ursuline twice, Menor, who's one of the best teams, and then Hubbard. So that's a gauntlet of a schedule in your final 2 weeks. So you kind of want to pick up some steam and get some wins on your schedule now before, like you said, it's too late when you get into Ursulines and Cheneys and Menor. Sharon was in there. Like, that is going to be very tough to pick up even 2 wins throughout that 6-game stretch.
And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, because I'm not a basketball coach and I don't claim to be one, but the next 3 games are the last ones that you get before they have the selection as to the brackets. So these are 3 big games that you want. And I know Moody has a game coming up. Is it tonight? I think it's tonight. Yeah. Is their senior night. So this is a big night for them, obviously. And then you don't, again, same thing. You don't want to wait too long because if you get a couple big wins at the end of the season, they might not see it and you might be ranked a little bit lower and have to play a better team. So you want some kind of show me stats going into the next couple games. So that way you've got something at the meeting. You could say, okay, here's our signature win. Here's our overall record. Here are the teams we played. Here's our RPI For those of you who don't understand RPI, that's how our statistics and our graphics are made for the top 25. But you look at that, I mean, look at their RPI right now. Look at the teams they're around. I mean, Mooney is 17, right? And you might look at their record and you might say, oh, okay, well, there's nothing fantastic about it. So I'm going to pull their record up right now. So that way I have something of context. They're 7-5 overall, right? They're 0-2 in the conference. And people might sit there and poo-poo their record, but you look at the teams in their own conference and you go, well, those are some pretty big dogs sitting on the porch.
Yeah.
If you're sitting at 17 with a 7-5 record, it's because you played some dudes.
And they have, and they always will. Like, you know, that's one thing that I disagree with kind of when you look at, you know, boys and girls basketball, and even on the baseball and softball side of things. I love how football does it. You play your 10-week schedule, then they seed you. Like, sometimes basketball, your rivalries are your final game of the season.
Yeah.
Like, I always thought that was kind of unusual. I get they want to get the seeding and they want to get all the host sites and who's playing who. But for some of these teams to turn it on late and pick up 3 or 4 victories that aren't even counted for the seeding, to me, just isn't fair. And you might have a different opinion, but I've always liked how football did it. Like, you play every game, and then you either make the playoff based on all 10 games or you don't. Like, imagine if football was like, okay, week 8, we are going to decide seeding.
See that? Yeah, that would bother me.
It'd be terrible. Like, but basketball coaches have to be like thinking the same thing. Because like in conference play, for example, say Salem plays Marlington in the final game. Like, seeding is big there for that game between those two teams. Huge.
So here's where I think that I differ in your opinion is there's 10 games in football. There's 22 games in basketball, right? And I think there's like 5 scrimmages that you could add on to it. Football, you don't have that opportunity. I don't know if there's a limit on scrimmages or if there ever was or ever will be. That I have no idea. I'm not going to sit here and say that I know. But if you don't know your team pretty well by the 16th game of the season, like what you're capable of, and you don't have a signature win, then that's a situation where you have to look at your scheduling and you need to start, kind of snow plowing some of these teams back towards the front of your schedule, as opposed to, waiting for the end. Most of these teams will look at it and they'll try to have a cake game at the end of the game, at the end of the year, because they want something that they can just get their shots up. They're playing somebody that's not themselves. And that way, they have a little bit of momentum going into the playoffs, the tournament. I don't know. Like in football, it's different. Football, you only have 10 weeks to figure out who you are. And some of these teams don't figure out who they are until week 9. And some of these teams don't figure out who they are until week 11. So from my standpoint, I enjoy them both the same, but I see your point, but I also see that you have the same amount of games plus 6 or 7 on top of that. Like Salem played half of their season before the Christmas break in basketball. Like, that's crazy to me.
Yeah.
And now they've got to spread it out and dink and dunk all the way to March. And to me, that's a huge challenge. But they're the ones that make their schedules. The athletic director and the coaches are the ones that kind of combine to make their schedules. And you've got to know that going in. And you've got to, practice accordingly and play accordingly. Because, again, if you got a light schedule at the back half of your season and all of a sudden now you're playing twice a week, that could be a problem, Rich. Yeah. That could be a big problem.
I was just talking about like seeding wise. So say like, when you look at, this is just hypothetical. Say Marlington, when they do the seeding, is 15-0. Salem's 15-0. They've played similar teams, but one team has a better strength of schedule by maybe 1 or 2 teams.
Okay.
But they play each other, hypothetically, in the final week where the rankings are already put out. Like,
well, they're probably going to be 1 and 2, wouldn't you imagine?
Yeah, but I think there's a big difference between the top 4. Like, 1 is huge because, like, we saw that in football. The 1 seed usually ends up in the final because, like,
typically.
you don't play that anybody good. But the 2 plays somebody pretty decent, the 3 seed in the semifinal.
Yeah.
Which could be huge. So I don't know. I just always thought that, hey, let's just wait until all the games are done. Then you put out the brackets. So it's fair.
I'm not against it. I'd love to hear what a high school coach has to say about it, because I'm sure that, there's arguments both ways, but I'm just not strong enough in the basketball community. Like, part of me still in football season, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
Like, I'm still trying, like, the announcement of Warren JFK playing South Range in week 3 next year. Whew. Like, that gets me excited. We've been begging for this stuff, but basketball, I'm excited for it. I don't want people to think I'm not. If you've heard any of my calls, you understand that I am very excited for it, but I just do not understand it the way I understand football. I think it's too complicated. I really do.
That's what I like about football. It's so easy, 1 through 16, and then whatever.
Are you within this boundary of 1 to 16? Okay, if you are, you're playing postseason. If you're not, your season's over. Whereas, and I still don't like everybody getting in for basketball, for volleyball, for baseball, for softball. Like, I'm sorry. I think that the playoffs are reserved for teams that deserve it.
Yep.
People can get mad about it, but like, if you're 0-22, why do you want to make the playoffs? Why do you why do you want to be there? If it's not just because you're probably going to be playing a team that's 21-1 or 22-2 or 22-0. Why do you want to be there? And I get, as a competitor, I get it, but man alive, like, you do not want to see a 76-2 basketball game.
No,
it's just not fair. And I know people are going to say, you're woke. No, it's like, nobody wants to see that. And you're paying $10 to see it anyway. Look at this guy. I'm still in football season mode too. Go Raiders. Coach Yeagley. I love it. I love it that he's watching.
That's cool.
That's really cool. That just made my day. So, I mean, would you want to see that? Do you think there should be a cutoff for basketball, like seeding system an honest seeding system for basketball?
I think it makes the playoffs so valuable, and the district tournament would then be so much more valuable. Like, before you have districts in baseball, you have sectionals, and it's like usually just the worst games you could possibly imagine.
Hot garbage.
So, like, I don't even know why we have sectionals, but it's to get those teams that are the lowest seeds in the bracket in the tournament.
It's a hat and t-shirt game, man. Like Mike Tomlin says.
Like,
sectional champions.
I know 16 teams in football is a lot. When it was like 8, that was awesome. Like, I understand, like, football wise, why they put 16, but I like 8 better. Like, just so valuable when you get into the playoffs. You're going to be playing a good team in the first round. Like,
imagine if they did that for hoops, though. If they did 16, awesome. I would love
16, it. Even, like, just limit it. Like, I hate to be that guy, but some teams just don't deserve to be in there.
No, but if 16 is like the benchmark, and we're going to do this for football, we're going to do this across the board, I can get behind that because they're married to that number. Richie, I promise you, we have not heard the last of playing everybody in the playoffs for football.
Yep.
I really do believe that that's on the tip of the OHSAA's tongue, and they're just waiting for the right time or the right opportunity to level that out and say, look, everybody's in. Because the amount of money that they can bring in with that. In football, we've seen a decline in basketball, right? From the attendance to the caliber of basketball that's being played. We've seen a decline over the last 2 decades. Football is the opposite. We've seen an increase in how good these young men are. Volleyball, how good these young women are. Basketball, I don't know why. Because the AAU, I will say this, girls basketball has been off the charts. I am so impressed. In my high school years, I could not watch a girls basketball game and take it seriously. And that's not because Coach Yeagley says 16 is too many. 8 was great.
There we go. Great minds think alike.
Hey, stamp it. Coach Yeagley says it. I'm on board. The USS Yeagley. I'm on. But do you think 16 would work in other facets, in other sports?
Yeah, I do. I don't.
Would people get offended?
What's that?
Would people get offended since it's the other way around? So football went from 4 teams to 8 teams to now 16. It was the other way for the other sports. Everybody was in. If you start kind of chipping away at that, how's that going to go for it?
I mean, they don't have a choice at that point. Like, either get better. I mean, there's nothing else to do. Like,
get better or get going.
Yeah. I mean, seriously, they just don't really have a choice at that point. You got to make the top 16. But what's different about football too, and Joe Idle, who is, does yeoman's work every Friday. God bless that guy.
Yeah.
What he does is rank everybody, and you could tell where you're at throughout the season. Some of these schools for basketball, outside of our power rankings, nobody knows where anybody even is.
Clue.
There's no structure.
Martin RPI is where we get our stuff. So if you're basketball, if you're a hoop head, you need to go and look at the Martin RPI system, because they have, I believe Quinn said they have every single school in the state of Ohio. And that's the Joe Idle of basketball.
And that's not even like well known. Like, everybody knows Joe Idle. Like, our shows on Friday, a lot of them were based off of his rankings. Like,
and they will be moving forward. So you talk about our power rankings for football, that's where we're basing them.
Yeah.
Like, no longer are we going to sit there and go, well, I really think that this team is the best. No, we're going to back it with science, because quite frankly, you and I are tired of hearing about it. You know what I mean? And we're still hearing about it, even when we have scientific facts. And Coach Yeagley, who's watching, is a numbers guy. And that you can debate anything, but it's hard to debate the numbers. Yeah. Like, when you go apples to apples, this is how it is. I got one guy specifically that is mad at us and calls us a joke because we have Division 3 and 4 basketball teams that are higher than 1 and 2. Here's the issue: is you can't penalize Division 3 and 4 just because they're Division 3 and 4. That does not make any sense at all. We are trying to do this in real time and make sure that everybody is comparable, and it's hard to do. The only way you can do it is RPI. Your record versus your opponent's record versus their opponents, and your opponent's record, and then your strength of schedule. And that's the only Kool-Aid you can mix up and have it taste good. That's just how it is. But
basketball's so tough because, like, different divisions play up. Like, you could see a Division 3 playing like up to Division 2, Division 1 on a weekly basis. Football is usually straightforward. Like, outside of South Range, where they play up almost every division.
Right.
Well, if you're D6, you're going to play D6 and 7. If you're D3, you're usually just going to play D3, occasionally D4, and maybe one team of D2. Like, basketball, you play everybody. Like, you could see, like, we saw United play Lake.
Yep.
In the first week. Lake's like big D1. Like, their boys basketball program is always one of the best in the state of Ohio, and they're playing United. Like, there's not much structure to the basketball season.
I'm going to make a case when we come back that baseball is the toughest way to rank teams, as according to what we're doing, like 16. I'll make that case when we come back on the YSN Power Hour, powered by Toyota of Warren.
We believe expectations are made to be exceeded. At the new Toyota of Warren, it's about more than just getting a great deal. It's about service you can count on and a friendship you can trust. Year after year, we've done what we do best. We've gone the extra mile so you could too. Because we know it's just not about buying a new car. It's the start of a new adventure. Toyota of Warren, driven by you.
Before the lights come on, before the workday begins, before a long day is ended, or it's time to have fun, it all starts with the people at Joe Dickey Electric. From replacing a light fixture in your home to building a substation for your business, no job is too big or too small. The people of Joe Dickey Electric power them all. Joe Dickey Electric, over 60 years of powering the Mahoning Valley.
Why choose local? Because you live here, work here, learn here, relax here, and celebrate here. 21 WFMJ is our valley's only locally owned TV station, and our focus is local. Other TV stations don't have that same focus, as their owners are somewhere else. But 21 WFMJ is rooted in the valley. Local people making decisions that affect your life, right here where you live.
And back we come to the YSN Power Hour, powered by our friends at Toyota of Warren. DJ Yoakley, Richie Giuliano with you. Rich, I kind of gave away my tea, so I feel bad. But we're talking about the seedings and the rankings and stuff like that as you go into football and basketball. But I think the toughest ranking and seeding would be for baseball. And here's why. And you probably know where I'm going. Baseball, your starting pitcher is everything. Everything. And if you've got an ace, you've got the opportunity to at least knock on the door of that championship round, at whatever level it is. But the problem is, very rarely are teams carrying two pocket aces. Yeah. It's usually one guy, and then you have to go to a bullpen, especially the smaller schools that rely so much more on one specific guy. Very rarely, outside of maybe Warren JFK, do you see these smaller schools have multitudes of guys that can beat you on any given day or any given at bat. Do you concur with that? Do you feel like baseball is probably the toughest to seed if they were ever to do it?
Yeah. I mean, perfect example. When I played, we had one ace, one other good pitcher. But what's different about baseball, you have 3-4 days usually without rain in between, sometimes even 5-6 days in between district games. So you could have one guy that goes the entire way up to the district semifinal and then the district final.
Yep.
Because usually after the district semi, I think it's 2 or 3 days later you play the district final.
Correct.
So if you have one guy, they could take you to the district semifinal, win that game, and then all you need is a bullpen game, the second one, and you're good. Like in baseball, it's completely different. Throughout the season, you might have a record of 10-10, but then you get into the playoffs and you could win districts because you have one good pitcher.
I mean, we saw it, a few years ago with South Range. They needed two guys, really three, a bullpen guy to get them through, and they ended up going into the playoffs as a losing team and ended up winning a state championship in 2018. I mean, they had the guys. It's just a matter of they were playing up the entire year, doing all that stuff. That's why, again, if you want to protect yourself, if you're these sports that want to protect yourself against teams that are kind of, I don't want to say sandbagging because they're challenging themselves the entire year, but let's say it's a team that goes 2-20, but they played up the entire year, and all of a sudden they go play D4 and they just smash heads in. How they can sandbag during that tournament is the 2-20 team doesn't get in, just pure and simple.
Yep.
And they might get in based on RPI, but then you got to be careful because if you lose too many games because you're playing teams that are good, you're not going to get in. I think I really do, Richie. I really would like to see the playoffs be the playoffs. I don't like everybody getting in. I don't.
I don't
and
either.
I know there's an outlier, right, of a team that's going to beat the 1 seed or beat the 2 seed at some point. But you're going to see a lot more of that, I think, because these teams are just going to sit there and go, yeah, we'll play you. Because who cares? We get in the playoffs anyway.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
That's how it's going to be. Like, you could play up. You could have a Division 6 team play Division 2 now, because if you get in, what's it matter? Like, if everybody gets in, it doesn't even matter.
And I hope they don't do it for football. Like, I'm really holding on to hope that they don't do it for football, because if they do, all bets are off, man. And you're going to see a lot of forfeits or cancellations, whatever the hell they're going to call it. That's another topic for another day. We've already covered that one. I've got my lamb roasted for that. But when are we going to start seeing that? I think we will start seeing that at some point because these other schools are not being penalized for pulling out of games. They're just not. Like, forfeit is a bad word. I choked on my spit there. That wasn't a real cough. It's a bad word in the OHSAA.
Yeah.
They don't want forfeits. They want cancellations. I'm sorry. I'm of the belief, and I don't know, this could have happened. I don't know. This isn't specifically towards any team or any program. If you cancel the day of a game, it's a forfeit. Automatic.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate because you're going to have sick kids. You're going to have, but there's also times that coaches go, ooh, we had a bad week of practice. We haven't lost a game, or we haven't won a game in 3 games. This is a really good rivalry game. We're just going to, no. The day of the game, it's a forfeit. Day before the game, 24 hours, I would say. Within that 24-hour time frame, it's a forfeit. Outside of that, you can talk, mano a mano.
I think a prime example of that from last season, look at where Crestview could have been. They had one game. They had one game not played.
Liberty.
And they went from being in the playoffs to being out of the playoffs as the 17 seed by like 0.12 of points on the current average.
But you know what drives me nuts is the people that are on the other side of the fence and like, well, win more games, win another game.
Yeah.
No, those kids only got 9 games. You're supposed to be promised 10. And you're not promised anything in this. Okay, all right, calm down. These kids are supposed to get 10 games. So, again, what I didn't like about that was it was kind of like last minute that they didn't get to play that game. And, if they're able to reschedule, then it's a cancellation. And then you can go into the playoffs and have 9 games. But if they can't find someone to step into that spot, it's a forfeit. I think that's the fairest way to do it. And there has to be a way that you can kind of monitor that, because it'd be easy for a coach to be like, well, or an AD to be like, you know what? I'm just not going to do it. We're going to take the forfeit, which, listen, if that's the prerogative, that's fine. But I highly doubt there's a coach out there that would welcome, unless there's heavy injuries to their team, a bye week in that season.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw it. Did it not happen to Cardinal or to Canfield?
Yeah.
And that team just went, see you later.
Bye week.
Incredible. All right. Jess Leone chiming in. He says California goes top 3 from each conference and some 4th place as large or at large for all sports except football. But then the conference, our conferences are jacked here.
Yeah, they're different because they're not the same numbered. Like,
Yeah.
you got some conferences that are 4 or 5 teams, and then you got like the MVAC that's like just a list of crazy amount of teams.
The divisor being lowered to a 9-game schedule would equalize that. But then would you be inviting a cancellation?
Yeah, at that point.
Because you're like, okay, well, we don't have to win this game, so let's, we like where we're at, so we're going to cancel it. I don't know how. He's a math guy. Coach Yeagley's a math guy. I use words.
That's like why I like the 8-game format, like the 18 format, because you had to win at least 8 games, like, to have a chance to get in the top 8.
Eventually, I can also see them shortening the regular season, and starting playoffs sooner. And I can see it happening. I really can. And there's a couple ways they can do it. If everybody gets in, like I think is going to happen, you're going to have to lose at least 1 game of your regular season, if not 2.
Yeah.
Because they can't push it any further. They can't play more games than 16. I think 16 is too many as it is. I mean, you're playing a full, not anymore, but a full NFL schedule for the last 30, 40 years, right?
Yeah.
16 games. And I've said it before, it's just too much. It's too much for these kids in football. I understand you're playing 22 games plus playoffs and all these other sports. Football is different, man. Football is different. It's different physically. Wrestling. I don't know how many matches these kids have. Can you imagine if there were, and maybe there are, maybe there's 16 weeks of I'll have to ask Gary. But, but wrestling is over very quickly a lot of times. Football is an absolute war for 2.5 hours. So that would be my argument for that one. I kind of thought of that one on the fly, so I apologize. But overall, Rich, do you think that we'll ever see playoffs in these other sports that are subject to just seeding, the top 16 or otherwise?
No. I think it all revolves around money.
There it is.
I think that's one of the reasons, because of the COVID loss in 2020, that you expand it. Kind of the timing is a little bit goofy there from, 2020, and then you expand it to 16. I think there's a reason why, you do that, because you lose millions of dollars in 2020 all around every sport, every season. I just don't think they'll ever do that, just because there's millions of dollars on the line there.
They're losing millions of dollars every week that they eliminate. I agree.
Exactly. Like, you look around the state, you take away the 3 extra games, like, it's millions of dollars across the state.
They're not willing to do it. I guess from a business point,
I wouldn't do it either.
I wouldn't either, because you'd have to find it somewhere else. Changing gears real quick, we had an announcement yesterday on the network that went over pretty well. We'll re-announce it right now. Here we go. That's right. Archbishop Hoban out of Akron. We alluded to it earlier, so we kind of blew. Again, I'm not doing well at keeping secrets today, man. They joined yesterday officially up through the 2024 season, and then opportunities for extension. But we've been meeting with Archbishop Hoban since football season, since the last week of football, a championship week. And we're really looking forward to it. They had Mr. Football this year. They've got 26 varsity sports that they want covered, and they have a bunch of other non-varsity sports that they're trying to get covered. So we're looking forward to working with one of the elite high schools in not only our area, but in the entire, I would argue and say the country, with some of the players that they've been able to develop. And I'm excited for not just football. I'm excited all the way around for their student athletes to be able to get coverage, because we're up against some big boys now, Rich. We're up against Akron in their media, the Beacon Journal and things of that. So we've got to raise our game. I know guys like Steve Leslie, super excited about this, and Chris Sigler. Everybody kind of looked around and stuff got real, as they say, because this isn't, and I don't want to kind of decompress Youngstown at all, but now we're going up against the big boys, and kind of like WCW, this is where the big boys play.
Yeah, we saw that state championship game, and you got some linemen out there that are 300 pounds, look like Division I caliber. I mean, you're right, it's a different animal. Like, we just haven't seen the type of football that we're probably going to see on a Friday night on YSN when you watch Hoban. Like, having Mr. Football as part of your, coverage area is just different. Like, there's no other way of saying it.
And that's not just like 1 year. They put perennial guys in places to be shined on, like Mr. Football, and like you said earlier, the basketball game we're gonna go to on Tuesday is gonna be
nuts. It's gonna be nuts, and it's gonna be packed. Like,
oh yeah,
they kind of remind me of Ursuline. Like, their gym's not huge, but it's condensed to where,
and we're in the balcony.
Loud. Yeah,
we're in the balcony.
And the balcony.
So we're excited for that. Thank you and welcome to the family, Archbishop Hoban. And we're looking forward to covering the Lady Knights as well as the Knights, until they tell us we can't anymore. So excited for that, but it's at least going to be a year and a half before they can kick us out. And we're excited to give them our best for the next, 18 months or so. All right. It is time for the, what am I looking for? Oh, okay. It's What's Your Spark, presented by Joe Dickey Electric. Anything commercial, residential, anything electrical, head over to DickeyElectric.com. Tell them YSN sent you. The Joe Dickey Electric What's Your Spark? If it's your first time on the program, it's a chance to put somebody on a pedestal or put somebody on a chopping block. Richie, we're heading to you first. What do you have?
Pedestal. We've been talking a lot of football. One of our best names on the football side in the fall, Vinny Ballone, announced his commitment to Youngstown State University, so staying local. Congratulations to him. We were all excited to see where he was going to go. We knew he was going to get a ton of offers, but when you stay home, it's just different. Like when Bo Brungard announced his commitment to Youngstown State, we were all super stoked about that. Same emotions for this one as well. It's nice to see a guy stay local, and they got a big one at Youngstown State coming next class.
That quarterback room is going to be awesome. I mean, you've got Mitch Davidson from Salem, you've got Bo Brungard from Springfield, and now you've got Vinny Ballone from Lowellville.
It's going to be crazy.
And there's some other guys in there too. I don't want to pretend like they're not, but
maybe we should get a show right there, a little podcast with the trio.
The three QBs, the three amigos.
Yeah.
I love it. And the humility in that room. None of them would talk about themselves.
No.
We'd have to talk about other things like world news or something. So much humility on that team, and you're starting to see what Coach Phillips is recruiting. He's recruiting good football players, but he's recruiting great people.
Yep.
Great people. My spark, I was excited to see last night that weird. I was nominated for this 40 under 40, had no idea what this was. And like I go and look at all this stuff. So I'm thinking it's like a Youngstown thing or like Columbiana County. Like I didn't know. This is a global thing. There's some people that I can't pronounce their names that I'll be meeting in March, and I'm representing the USA, baby, the red, white, and blue, and it's a black tie, like reception or whatever it is for this awards ceremony. Half a mind to wear a stars and stripes tuxedo with
show
a black
boots.
Show up.
Ruin the black tie affair.
That's it, man. Wear some boots, a cowboy hat, and the American tuxedo, which is literally the patriot, like the stars and the stripes on the tuxedo. I think that would be awesome.
That'd be sweet.
This is America, fellas. This is the land of opportunity, and I just seized it. I'm honored. I'm in all seriousness, I'm very honored. There's a lot of people, like I'm just the kind of the point man for everything that goes on. I cannot tell people how appreciative I am. You and I talk about this all the time. We don't set out for awards. We don't set out for anything. We set out to do our job and do it to the best of our ability. And everything that Colossians 3:23 says is what we kind of intend on doing. So to have this is a great surprise. It's a great opportunity, I think, for us, not only here at YSN, but here in the Valley to show what Youngstown's made of and show that we have great things that are built here. And it starts with the people that care. And if nobody cared about YSN, I certainly would not be representing all of us in Las Vegas in March. So want to thank you. I still don't know who put me on this. Like no clue. I don't know. So whoever did, thank you. But Richie, I don't know what to do.
How'd you find out?
They sent me an email. Huh. Like, what they do is they send you an email like through the whole process of, hey, you've been nominated. Da 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 da. Here's where it's the Bellagio.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So it's kind of neat where it's going to be. But like I showed you my travel schedule yesterday. Not fun. Like I'm not a travel guy. Like I can go away for a day, but then I start missing the old wife and kids.
Yep.
So I might be a miserable old man when I turn 38 with all this travel that I'm going to do. So that's going to do it for our show today. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Greatly appreciated. Oh, look at this guy. My dude. Coach Yeagley, sent me he always sends me the nicest texts. Always. Like heartfelt, like had me almost tearing up last night with the stuff that he said. But he wants that. I feel like he's trying to get that out of me, those tears, because I've got him 2 or 3 times in the last 2 or 3 years, and he's trying to get me. But he doesn't do it on a public stage like I do. Like so I feel bad about it. I always feel bad when I get him tearing up because it gets me going. So thank you, Coach Yeagley, by the way. That's gonna do it for our show. Rich, thanks for jumping on. Appreciate it. We will be on Monday here 3 to 4 right here on the YSN Power Hour with all your updates. Whoa. All your updates that happen over the weekend. And of course, you can always go to ysnlive.com/live for full updates on games and links, and then ysnlive.com for stories and interviews. On behalf of Richie J, I'm DJ Y. See ya. YSN thanks you for